parts of Italy in 568. The place called Po Valley, Po Valley in the northern parts of Italy was taken away by the Lombards. Lombards actually mean long beards. That's long beards. That's the meaning. Lombards, long beards. They grew long beards. They were very severe men, very severe, very strong, very severe men. The rest of Italy continued as part of the Roman Empire, but a good part was under these people. The Lombards were converted to Christianity, but to Arianism. That was the sad part. They were converted to Christianity, but not the true Christianity. They were converted to Arianism. For this reason, they had no reservation in coming and fighting with, the rest of the Christians. The Western Empire was basically gone, so they wanted to come and attack the Eastern Empire now. So the Lombards, though they were converted, they were not converted to Orthodox Christianity initially. Later they were won to Orthodox faith by the Nicene Creed. Pope Gregory I, in order to win their support, bestowed upon their king the crown which contained one of the nails that nailed Jesus Christ on the cross. There was a special favor, because the holy relics, especially if it belonged to Jesus Christ, then that nail has to be particularly very dear. So Pope Gregory wanted to win these people. He thought about how to win. They are Arians now, but they were now slowly converted, and so he gave their king a crown, which crown he said contains one of the nails. The Franks were used by Pope to neutralize the Lombards. The Franks are other people in Germany, So the Germans are city-states. We have to understand, not the modern Germany. Of course, the modern Germany has East Germany and West Germany. That was divided after the Second World War between the communists and the others. But now it is one Germany again. But before that, Germany was many, many small states like India. So the Franks were one group, Lombards were another group. So the Franks were used by Pope to neutralize Lombards, and popes were very, very cunning people. They wanted to, because the attack always came from Germany now. Germany was frequently attacking the Roman Empire. So somehow Germany has to be neutralized. Otherwise, Pope knows that it's going to be dangerous. So how to do? So he wanted the friendship of Franks. So the emperor in Constantinople was not in a position to protect the Pope due to different reasons, mainly the distance, because Constantinople and Rome are very far away. Pope is in Rome. So these people are attacking. And from Constantinople, the emperor cannot come and always help. The Western Europe is completely weakened and gone, so they cannot have no defense. So the defense has to come from anywhere else. So instead of having the defense, why don't befriend the enemy itself? That was what a Pope decides. So he, he wanted to befriend the Franks against the Lombards. So there was another problem also. The Arabs were still attacking. They were attacking. Because we went back to the 700s. So Pope had to return to the Franks for help. Said that, the Lombards and the Arabs, you have to help. So what happened? We have noted earlier that in 496, the Frankish king Clovis was converted to Christianity. We mentioned last time. Frank also saved Europe from Islam. The alliance of the church with the Frank was now a necessity, more for Pope and Christianity than for the Franks. So Clovis was a powerful king, but the later kings of the Franks were all weak. Charles Martel was not a king, but he was a general of the Frank army. He was made the king. The son of Charles Martel was Pepin the Short. That was his name. I think he was short, so he was called Pepin the Short. He also obtained the title of general from his father. But he was not satisfied by that title. He wanted to be the king. So what did he do? He went and defeated the king, and he became the king. Now he is not satisfied. Pepin was not satisfied the fact that he is now the king there of the Franks, but he wants Pope to recognize him as the king. So he came. He deposed the last king of Clove, and he himself put on him the throne, the crown, and he came to approach the Pope Zacharias. He was a pope there for approval. Pope was very cunning. He was looking for an occasion to gain, friendship with the Franks, because the Arabs started attacking. So he needed some help. So Pope said it was a right for the empire to have a powerful king. Pope crowned him in 751 as the king of Franks. So he became now the king. Pope gained much mileage. Pope's approval has become necessary for anyone to be king now. That pattern is established right there by Pepin. Now that became a tradition. If anyone in Europe has to be a king, he must come to Pope, and the Pope has to crown him. So see, the Pope's position exalted. Pope is not the king, but he is the kingmaker now. Pope is the kingmaker now. So from this moment on, developed this system. But it also developed a great struggle between papacy and empires. It's true that, whoever become the emperor or whoever become the king needed the support and the approval of the Pope, but once they get it, they are not that sympathetic, because Pope expects them to listen to them. And Pope will constantly be asking for money also, and for other favors. So these people wanted the approval, but they didn't wanted interference. So there was always a struggle between papacy and the empire. The history of the Middle Ages is a story of this conflict actually. We will come to that. Pope becomes the temporal ruler very soon. As a thank you for making Pepin the emperor, Pope asked him to defeat the Lombards so that, one section will be gone. So what, Pepin went with his army. He marched to Italy and fought against the Lombards and defeated them. He took the territory of Lombards in Italy and gave it to Pope as a present. So Pope became the ruler of that part of Italy. It is now that state of the church. Pope now has ecclesiastical right as well as political right, because he has a state under him. The popes continued to hold this temporal rulership till 1870, when the new kingdom of Italy was established, and they have taken back, So he enjoyed it. Now we know that Vatican, of course, is a state of Vatican. It's a separate, place where the Pope rules over it. So this kind of conflicts going. You are eliminating, like in a chess. You are eliminating one with the other one, and so the Lombards are. Pepin was used to fight against the Lombards and defeated them. So he is more free. You will think that yes, but Charles became a very, very powerful king. Pepin died in 768. He had two sons. One is called Carloman, the other is again called Charles. Carloman died in 771, very shortly, in 3 years after Pepin died. Then Charles ruled alone, and his a very powerful king. He later taken the title Charles, he changed it to Charlemagne, Yes, so in history, Charlemagne is a big one. So on Christmas Day, 800, Charles came to Rome for prayer. He didn't come to Pope, but he was praying in St. Peter's Church in Rome. So somebody told the Pope that, Charles is praying there. Pope immediately rode up to him and placed upon him the imperial crown. And Pope said that, by God's providence, you are appointed the emperor of the Roman Empire. What a great Pope was very, very, very sharp, very sharp. Of course, Charles only went there for prayer, because St. Peter's Church is where the most important place for their faith. But he seems right. It seemed right for the Pope to make Charles the emperor, because Charles stood for the same ideals that Pope stood for. See, we need to understand that at this time the Roman Empire was in a mess. The Western Empire is gone. There was no law and order. There was no education. Civilization and culture was at its lowest. And Christianity was not in a shape at all. But this Charlemagne, he stood for all these things. He wanted his empire to be very systematically ruled. So he wanted to emphasize law and order. And also he wanted his people to be civilized, because these were basically barbarians, they were living the way they want. They only believed in one power, the power of the sword. They didn't care for education, they didn't care for anything. Actually, Charlemagne himself could not read or write. He never went to school. These people, they had no respect for civilization. They were not Greeks. They were barbarians. That's the sort of people. So Charlemagne said that, yes, I want law and order. I want civilization and culture, and my religion is Christianity. I want the world to be Christian. Pope said, right on. I want an emperor exactly like that. This was the man that I was looking for, and God has brought you for the right time. So in the providence of God, you are crowned the emperor, not a prince. So the Roman Empire, basically small and disorganized, was in a chaos. The Lombards and the others attacked, no one to enforce law. So Pope found in Charles a great deliverer of Rome. Charles' name was changed to Charlemagne, which means Charles the Great. Charlemagne fought for the above three values all his life. He made laws powerful, and violation was punished. He fostered civilization by promoting schools throughout his kingdom. The barbarians, who made up a large section of the people, did not believe in learning. Actually, when Charlemagne started schooling, they laughed. They like, buy some sword and give everybody. Why this pen and pencil and book, Charlemagne started a school in his palace also. And he became a student there. He learned to read and write, setting an example for the people. It is said that he could never hold a pen in his hand. Because by continuously using the sword, his fingers will come only up to there. It won't go any further to hold. It can go like this, but it will come only there, because he was always holding the sword, So he said, history says he never could hold a pen in his hand. Isn't that terrible when you think about that? It is. His fingers could never bend enough, as they have held a weighty sword all his life. Yes, Charlemagne was a great man. But Charlemagne, all his life, till his death, he was a man of war. He was a man of war. Because enemies were all around, all around. Charlemagne was engaged in war upon war all his life. He fought the Lombards and ended their kingdom by 777. And he set the crown of their king on his head. Next, he began fought to liberate Spain from Arabs. He pushed them to the Ebro River, You know how in the Sofia, in the church at Sofia, that's where the last battle was fought with the Arabs, and Charlemagne won. The Arabs never advanced an inch. But of course they got a lot of territory, all over. But Charlemagne was a very strong, It's very interesting that when the leadership of a nation is weak, the nation is weak. It does not really matter how educated the people are, how rich the people are. If the leader is not strong, that is true about church also. That is true about home also, right? If the head of the home, the father, if that father is a strong person, then the home is a strong home. If the father is weak, the home is weak. The church also, if the leadership of the church is strong, then the church is strong. If the leadership is weak, the church is weak. And the nation also. In any society, that's a standard rule. So when Charlemagne came, he was a very strong ruler. You know, leaving this for a moment, in Kerala, that was where the Travancore was very strong. The state of Travancore was always strong because the kings of Travancore were young people. In their very early 30s and 40s they became king. But the Cochin state was always weak. The Samudri from Calicut was always coming and taking away all the portions of. The reason was the king of Cochin became a king when the 90s and 95, 98 old. You know, they had the system where the Marumakatayam system, the oldest man in that system, he will be 95 and the other one died, so he became king. In 2 years he will die. So the king of Kerala gave an advice that you stop this system, make an young man the king. So Shaktan Tamburan was made king on the advice of the king of Travancore. When Shaktan came, he regained all the territory back from the king of Calicut, what is Samudri, you know. He has taken all this back. See, the strength of leadership, history says, wherever it is, you know. France was the strongest under Napoleon. Napoleon was a strong leader. Yes. Germany was the strongest under Hitler. Hitler was a bad man because it was bad leadership. But Germany almost conquered the whole world, right? Germany, if Americans did not drop that bomb, honestly, Germany would die because Germany was on the point of making bomb. In just a few months they would have made the bomb and they have dropped it over England and Germany and England and America and France and all that. So, you know, the strong leadership is always needed. Of course, if the leader is not a good man, then the people will go the bad way. So, you know, the emphasizing strong leadership is very, very important. I think the churches suffer a lot today because many of the denominations today don't have strong leadership. We hear in the church history about strong leaders. But who is the strongest leader in the whole? I'm talking about the church as a whole. I'm not talking about any denomination. What name comes stand out? In the past you had hundreds of names you can say that about great theologians, whether it is Martin Luther or John Calvin or, you know, you talk about, hundreds of them. You can call them great missionary people, you know. And I think that that line has come and somehow there is a very great vacuum. Today there is not one man whom the world could point out, look at this man, he is the leader of the Christendom today. You know, there's no man like that. Billy Graham was kind of the last man, I will say, that who was looked up by everybody, you know, who had acceptability and respect among kings and prime ministers and presidents and everybody. And he is old man, and now who is there? There's nobody. You know, the local groups may have X and Y Z here and there, but his influence is very much limited. So Christendom always needed strong leadership, you know. Man who is fundamentalist, man who is an evangelical, man who believes in the Bible, man who could give the leadership, you know. Such people we always needed. We don't have such people there. And I think that Francis Schaeffer was probably the last such a leader. I could say that, to some extent he was respected, at least as an evangelical conservative man he was, but now we don't have. So coming back to the history of the church, Charlemagne was a blessing of God, you know. I'm not saying that Charlemagne was a believer or anything, but as far as Christendom was concerned, you know. So he fought with, different people. Wherever he went, he won. He fought with the Saxons also. They were a large, powerful Germanic tribe who occupied North Germany. After many wars, Charlemagne defeated the Saxons. He added the territory to his domain and forced them at the point of the sword to become Christians. So all Saxons became Christians. Yes. Isn't that nice? People ask the question, is that the way to make Christians? I say, no, that's not the way to make Christians. But, if you make it if that's the only way you can make Christians, that's not the way to make Christians, I admit. But if that's the only way to make Christians, what will you do? Mass conversions definitely have its own problems. Yes. Now it is what? Ghar wapasi, Wapasi. Yeah, but it's going to have its repercussions very soon. Honestly, watch out. They have started something. It is like they're breaking a great, dam. The water is going to flow, and they cannot stop it. So he fought with the Saxons and he went there. Now, when Charlemagne died in 814, there were three big empires in the world. Three big empires. The oldest was the weakest, the Eastern Europe, Roman Empire. That was the oldest, that was the weakest.
When was Charlemagne crowned?
When was Charlemagne crowned? Okay, Charlemagne was crowned on Christmas Day 800. Charles was kneeling in St. Peter's Church at Rome. That's when the Pope came and crowned him. So when he died from 800 to 814, not very much, but in that small period of time, he fought many battles and he won them all. And there were, at his death, three major empires. The oldest, the Eastern Roman Empire, with Constantinople as the headquarters. And it basically embraced all the Balkans, the Asia Minor and South Italy. Only that much portion it had. Then we have the largest of the empire was the Muslim Empire, which stretched from Persia, Syria, Palestine, all North Africa, all the way up to the Ebro River in Europe. That's a very large. Thirdly, the youngest and the strongest of three was the empire of Charlemagne. At his death, it consisted northern Italy, and northeast Spain, all of France, Belgium, Netherlands, a large part of Germany and Austria. It was a very large portion, Charlemagne has got. So after the fall of the Roman Empire, it is only now that such a large area is under one emperor. Charlemagne is considered the greatest ruler between Justinian and Charles V. He was indeed a great. Charlemagne's favorite book, what was? Augustine's City of God. And he believed that city was the empire he has established. No wonder he loved it, Yeah, he definitely loved it. Yes. But Charlemagne definitely, his father Pepin, by giving some of the lands that he has conquered from Lombards, donating them to Pope, laid the foundation for the idea of a state of the church. He made Pope a temporal ruler. Charlemagne freed the popes from the fear of the Lombards, and he brought order in his kingdom. He expelled the Muslims from the Western Europe. He brought the heathen Saxons under Christianity. He also promoted learning and culture. The Pope, by crowning Charlemagne as emperor, restored the Western Roman Empire, but doing this one, a long tradition that Pope will decide who will be the emperor. That was also there. By today's mistake become tomorrow's yes, patent. That happened, They did all these things out of necessity. The Pope did not crown him because he loved Charlemagne. Oh no, that's not the reason. Pope needed Charlemagne, a strong man. Otherwise the Arabs will take it away. Or the Lombards will take it away. So he needed him. And Charlemagne needed that approval. Because the Christian people will respect if he can say that Pope approved my emperorship. So if Pope does not approve it, then he is always in fear, because the popes could manipulate people, because they are Christians. Pope could tell them that, hey boys, Charlemagne is going too far, you need to do something. And they will do anything if the Pope will say. So to have the confidence of Pope was Charlemagne's necessity. To have Charlemagne was Pope's necessity. So it served both, but for Christianity, for the history, it established a bad precedent. Pope, is a kingmaker. Pope is the kingmaker. And this has gone so bad that in later years, as we study some history, some of the kings have to come and stand outside the palace of the Pope in the winter, in the snow, in the winter of December and January, in the months where they have to stand barefoot for a whole night just to have an appointment with Pope. So that he can continue as the king there. That sort of. So there are problems there. Anyway, that's the story that, how Christianity and Islam and all. Now we come to from 461 AD to 1073, where the church and the development of the papacy, that's a major development. I think before coming to that, we need to have a little review of the church organization. We know the biblical organization of the church is what? It's a three-tier organization. All believers or all saints, some elders and some deacons. This is the only church organization the Bible teaches. The missionaries and the pastors, they are not in the church. They are for the reaching out the world, The church administration is only these three. The elders, deacons and believers. There is nothing. But because of a number of developments, as we have pointed out few weeks back, these developments have forced them to do something that is different. Of course, men always loves authority and wanted to rule over others. People don't like to be sharing authority and treated equals. Who wants to be treated equals? Somehow you wanted to pull down somebody and climb up there. That's a temptation everybody is having. Unless you are too spiritual, then of course you will try to rise above, as Jesus said, by becoming others as servants. But after a while you're serving, you will be wondering, how long I would do this one, Why are you not making me an elder now? I have been washing feet for so long. If you don't make me an elder next week, I'm not going to put the chairs anymore, okay? In other sense, people do certain things, even, washing the feet with the view that after washing so many feet, you expect them to be, recognize the fact that you are a spiritual man, so that you will be made. That's so. But now the problem is, Gnosticism, mundanism and all these things you are attacking, and who will defend? That's a question. When the attack comes, who will? There should be a Charlemagne in the spiritual world, right? So they wanted to create Charlemagnes. That's the bishop. The bishop. When the wrong doctrines come, when some heretics come, some divisions come, who will stand up? Hey, every church has 3, 4, 5 elders. But those elders stand up, they cannot. They are fighting each other, They are saying, you go, you go, you go, you go. They are saying, you go, you go. There is nobody to go first, because everybody is equal. Nobody wants to wet his feet. So they say, you go out, brother, you go out. So then those who are actually